Everybody, Chris and Lumen here. I'm going to do two shorter videos today, get them knocked out of the way and spend the rest of the day just filling orders. But because they're connected but slightly different focuses, I'm again splitting it into two, plus it'll make it a little bit shorter. But this one has to do with another time frame coming up, another date, which was interesting seeing how I just had, I think we're in a sequence here. But when this one was brought to my attention, I was watching one of Kenneth's videos, one of the last three, and I just started to talk about what I saw, and then he brought up almost the exact same thing. So when that happens, that tells me that she's pointing it out. So this one is going to be about March 23rd and everything surrounding it. So if you want to know more, don't go away. Okay, this one is mostly astrological type stuff. And it begins with Saturn, which Saturn is one of the biggest freaking, occult type symbols in the game. It just depends on what part you want to focus on, what it actually freaking means. But it's definitely a large, large part of it. And this specifically, what came to my attention was March 23rd. Now, where we begin with March 23rd is something happens with Saturn, the way that it tilts, so to speak, in which the rings basically disappear. They don't really disappear, but they line up perfectly so that, like, if you were like looking at them through a telescope or something like that, you wouldn't see them. So that means we're lining up with that plane of the ring that goes around Saturn, the Lord of the Rings. So that kind of, to me, makes me think threshold. And this only happens like every 13, 15 years. Some of the notes that I got on this, when I asked my astrologer friend to look at the 23rd, she said the 23rd is a bugger, but the whole of March is for the same reasons. Giant pile up of the planets in Pisces and Aries, water and fire. She also said that the 23rd is between eclipses. This is where it gets interesting, tying it back to that last video that we did. So on March 13th and 14th, we have a blood moon, which that's always a big sign when it ties into, that is tied into transformative revelations type things. It doesn't mean that's always, it's a done deal, but blood moons are a big thing. Plus, it's in a Mercury retrograde period. Now, the interesting part is she said it's between two eclipses. So the solar eclipse is March 28th, and it is a hybrid solar eclipse. Why is that important? Because we covered that in the last video when I said that things were lining up to be exactly 2 years after she gave like the go sign. And I said the countdown began with a hybrid eclipse, because that specific hybrid eclipse was encoded in the world card of the modern spellcaster's tarot. Like that specific date. It had to be the hybrid eclipse on April 20th when Aries goes into Taurus. But here we are 2 years later. It's not April 20th, but it's that same period, and we have another hybrid eclipse right after I brought it up. So again, another marker that this is like a 2-year anniversary of when this all started. She also said that, and if I didn't say, that's on March 28th, the hybrid eclipse. So Neptune also moves into Aries March 29th, the next day. So again, you got Pisces and Aries doing this whole fire water thing, because Neptune is ruled by Pisces and it's going into Aries, which is the fire sign. And then she said, same time, the sun and moon in Aries north node in Pisces. Pisces equals ends and Aries equals beginnings. So everything starting with around the 13th goes into like this crazy transformation period that keeps going and keeps ramping up, that has to do with beginnings and ends, fire and water, Pisces and Aries, but with a heavy emphasis on the fire part, the transformation part. So that is very interesting that that came up, which makes me think what you should do is, if you watch this channel, you should also be subscribed to the Mystic Messenger, Kenneth's channel. I know we talk very differently a lot of times. We use different verbiages, but I can tell you that he's getting information from the same source that I am. And it stands out to me in a big way when we end up talking about the same thing at the same time. Now, just from the outside looking in, observationally, you know, Christ, Sophia is two sides of the same coin, mother, father, whatever. We both understand both sides, but it just, on the outside looking in, he is a little bit more attuned to the Christ masculine side, which is knowledge. That's why his stuff is probably a little bit, you know, deeper. And I am more attuned to the Sophia mother feminine side, which is wisdom. Both sides, but it's two sides of the same coin. So you can definitely, you know, if you watch both channels, even though we do go talk about whatever we're being led to, at certain points we do overlap quite often. And that just indicate, when you know that you've got more than one channel that is definitely talking to the same source and they overlap at the same time and we're not coordinating with each other, that tells you something. So that the symbology or whatever about that Saturn crossing the plane because the rings disappear because it's whatever, and all this other stuff that's going on tells us we're in for a fiery transformative period, whatever that means. So that's all starting at the end of this month. And then we had all this stuff that we talked about in the last video going into April, going into April 20th. What does that mean? It means we wait and see. But buckle up, because the one key element is that it has to do with the fires of transformation. So you might notice, if you did see my post, she is obviously in a hurry because my second package got here a lot faster than I expected. I did not expect it for another like week or two. But for whatever reason, this particular seller shipped it DHL instead of other crap that takes forever. So that means I'm not going to run out. I'm going through this stuff really freaking quick. And the next one, when the next one gets here, this is like a 1 pound piece of sulfur, brimstone. The next one is 3 times this size. And in the next video, we're going to demonstrate some things about this and explain some stuff, because, whew, yeah, I got from that last video, I told you I was going to make another version with the Uper light. And that definitely brought up some different angles too. But because we're doing 2 videos today, we're going to keep this simple. I just wanted to put that time frame on your radar too. This is big transformation period, and that seems to be the key. That seems to be the clue, and you're going to learn more about that in the next video. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us through the Etsy store where we sell all this stuff, clumencreations.etsy.com. Listen to Lumen's music on the SoundCloud. The links to everything we have is in the description box. Chris and Lumen. See you next time.